Jordan and Gretzky, Serena and Ruth. Remembering great ones is easy to do.
But what about the no-names who spent their whole lives long snapping footballs and catching sack flies? They're guys, remember that guy. Remember that guy, remember that guy, remember that guy, remember that guy.
They're just gonna remember some guys now.
I know my history. I understand. I've been told many times in the last 48 hours, by the way, that you're not supposed to be the guy that follows the guy. You're supposed to be the guy that follows the guy that follows. Remember that guy, the show where we mine our memories for nuggets of nostalgia about peripheral players, past and present. Hey there, folks. It is me, one of your hosts, James, and it feels great to be back in the saddle with someone else here.
We're back. We're better than ever. We are plus two fathers, and we have a very special guest. He happens to be the other father. Please introduce yourself.
That's right. It's me, the father of Kieran, which is how I will be referred to on many things going forward. So that may be my real name at this point. But no, I am very, very excited to be back here. It has been way too long. I hope everyone enjoyed Elite. James put the most insane amount of work into it. So I really want
you guys enjoyed Elite.
It was amazing.
Frankly, I'm glad you enjoyed the final product. Now, everyone that's, just for the record, if you're listening to this normal episode and maybe came in during Elite, because I know some people that listen to us for the first time with that, all of the feedback has been really nice, and I really appreciate it. And, I imagine people wouldn't come up and say to me, hey, it fucking sucked. But at least the people who were talking about it seemed to love it. But it has been a while, and a lot of stuff has made memories for us in the last 67 days. Sorry, folks. Couldn't quite be that nice. But in the last 67 days, there's been a lot of sports. How could we possibly ever get through all of that in a quick, concise fashion? That's right, we got a surprise 69 or 420 for you. We're playing nothing but the hits, nothing but the hits, nothing but the motherfucking hits. Here's how today's is going to work. These will all be 69 or 420 questions about recent sporting events. The rules for 69 and 420, if this is the first time you are ever listening to an RTG featuring it, we will be asking questions that have numerical answers. We don't care about the actual answer. We just care about whether it is closer to 69 or 420. Each of the three of us has 3 questions ready for the other 2. So each of us will be asked 6 total questions. I think we should do this round robin, but do you guys want me to do the first question?
Please, go ahead,
Please.
James.
Please
Okay.
lead off.
How many thousands of LA residents are of Korean descent? Now, to clarify, if there were 100,000, you would say 100 here. So how many thousands of Los Angeles residents consider themselves to be of Korean descent? I will tell you this is coming from the Korean Times, a June 9th, 2024, which also, June 9th, 24, that's about as 69 or 420 of a date you could get. That is the article I'm citing for this number.
So
I believe
we're talking,
LA has a big Koreatown, so I'm going to say 420 on that one.
Yeah, we're talking over under 244,500. That feels like an over.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to start out scoreless for the two of y'all. It's 230,000, so 230. It is a little closer to 69. Do you have a guess as to why I brought this up?
I'm blanking. Just
Tell
me.
Ha-Seong Kim went to the Dodgers, right?
Ha-Seong Kim. No, he's with Tampa, and he's injured right now. No,
he is.
There's 2 of them.
There's Ha-Seong Kim, and then there's, I don't know how to pronounce it in a distinct way because I can't speak Korean. But you know who can speak Korean? The members of the Korean Senior and Community Center harmonica class, who have played the anthem at the Los Angeles Kings playoffs games. That Los Angeles Kings did just lose to the Edmonton Oilers, which means I'm feeling even better about this because fuck the Kings. But while it is always fuck the Kings, it was delightful to see this group of Korean senior citizens playing the harmonica multiple times at the Staples Center for this playoff series. So 0 points for you guys. Start off. Who would like to ask the next question?
I did confirm.
Ooh.
The Dodgers, Ha-Seong Kim, despite it being Hyeseong, is still also pronounced Heh. So Dodgers do have a Ha-Seong Kim. It is spelled differently than the Tampa Bay Ha-Seong Kim, but he does exist.
So you're saying if we had 2 nickels, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. And I will go next. 69 or 420. Aaron Judge's WRC plus so far this season.
God.
He entered the Orioles series with an average of 406. He exited with an average of 427. His WRC plus has got to be like 270 or something.
Yeah, I don't know what that number is or why I should care about it, but if James is so convinced, I'm going to go ahead and follow their lead.
It's, for the record, it's similar to OPS plus. It takes into account like base running a little bit more too.
So James is correct here. It is closer to 420. It is currently 262, which is higher than anybody by, I believe, 50 at this point. Aaron Judge is currently hitting 427 in the month of May. After 31 games, it's 427 with 10 home runs and 32 RBIs. He is ahead of everybody in every category. The closest person to him in batting average, and again, this is someone we consider a slugger, and after April of last year was hitting only 200. The only person within 70 of him is his own teammate Paul Goldschmidt, who is 71 points behind. Paul Goldschmidt is 356, and Fernando Tatis is 345. So the closest non-Yankee is 82 points behind Aaron Judge in batting average right now.
You do have to give it up to him, unfortunately. Sure wish he played in San Francisco.
He is currently on pace for a 16 WAR season, according to Fangraphs. Already accumulated 3.2. Again, his two MVP years, according to Fangraphs, were 11.1 and 11.2. The difference this year, not only is he hitting more, because he has been moved to right field, his defense is also a positive, where last year, his offensive WAR, according to Fangraphs, was 95, and his defense was -10, and he still had the highest WAR in the entire league. This year, again, through 1 month, his offense is 24, and his defense is 1.5, but still positive, so he won't be losing points on that. So even if he doesn't, hit 427 this year with 70 home runs and 180 RBIs, if he hits what he had been over the past 165 days, which I believe was 350 with 65 home runs and 156 RBIs, if he does that for one season, plus positive defense, he may have the best season by WAR since the 1920s, not counting people on steroids. It's absolutely insane. We get the best of both worlds because the Orioles got to win 2 out of the 3 games the other day.
Hey, no, I'm sorry. Don't you dare say we got the best of both worlds. You get the fuck out of here.
But it is just fun to watch him play baseball because he has more hits this year than Ichiro did the year Ichiro broke the record for most hits in a single season by 8 already. Like, it's not like 1 or 2 more. Like, he is slapping singles to the opposite field and also crushing 450-foot home runs. And technically, he should have 1 more because he did hit a home run in Tampa Bay that MLB's own website acknowledged was a home run. They just didn't count it because they have terrible replay technology in that minor league ballpark.
Now, to be fair, that's not a minor league ballpark, and I'm only calling you out on that because it is your team's spring training park specifically. But with the Aaron Judge question, Diaz and I are tied at 1. I'm fine with you piggybacking off that, Diaz. I can't have you piggyback on this next one because I need you to tell us what our next question is.
Well, I feel like this is a nice follow-up to Xavier bringing up an analytic number that I simply don't understand because I have a raw counting stat for both of you. The Sixers, of course, had the season from hell. An incredible tanking job down the stretch. We'll see how the lottery balls may fall, but it was in particular the season from hell because of the limited playing of one Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid only played in 19 games in the 2024-25 season. Considering only made 2-point field goals, how many points did Joel Embiid score in the past season? 69 or 420?
If we're taking free throws out, I'm going to go 69.
Right, no free throws, no threes.
Wait, just to clarify, we're talking number of buckets made, not the points from the buckets?
Points resulting from made buckets.
Okay, I'm going to go 420.
420. James locking in 69. James is going to go to the lead because Joel Embiid made 117 two-point field goals in the past season, resulting in 234 points, which is just under. Also, just want to note, he made 23 three-pointers for a very nice 69 points from behind the arc. So while the season was indeed from hell, it is at least a little nice. We have a little nicety just to get us through.
Look, people suffered a lot throughout the season. I think Sixers fans can safely claim that they suffered as much as any other franchise. I was going to say after you answered the question, well, hey, and then I remember what Spike Eskin said, and I didn't say it. We've had 2 months where we couldn't curse sports. That's over.
I mean, truthfully, though, the way, and I'm certainly making no statements on how the lottery is going to go, but it was literally like the second Embiid was clearly going to be out for the rest of the season, made the mental switch to, okay, it's a process team again. We're tanking. Losses are good. If young players play well, that's awesome. That's all we care about. And it was like I was back in 2014 all over again. Adem Bona blocking both of the LeBron Jameses was amazing. Justin Edwards becoming a legit rotational wing. Very awesome to see for the local Philly guys. So will it ever matter or result in a championship? No. But will it ever matter? Yes.
Well, Sixers had it pretty bad. Spurs, at first, were having a great time. And then we had 2 very sad blood clots. One that was related to the deep vein thrombosis of Victor Wembanyama. The other one was a stroke for beloved basketball grandpa Greg Popovich. And it was a season-ending stroke for him. It has, as of today, as of just a couple hours before recording this, been confirmed. It was, in terms of being a head coach, a career-ending injury for Greg Popovich. It was a long and illustrious career as a head coach that did begin with the backstabbing of Bob Hill, who's been brought up on this show. I just feel like I need to acknowledge that. He did absolutely stab Bob Hill in the back, but he made up for it with a lot of wins in the regular season, a lot of wins in the postseason too. The question is, for those postseason wins in Greg Popovich's career, 420 or 69, my friends.
Let's do some math here.
Yeah, because it's 16 wins to win a title.
You got 5 of those.
There's 5 of those, so that's at least 80 right off Jump Street. You have the finals losses, which also would have as many games, which is, I think, just the one to the Heat.
This is wins, not appearances, right?
It is wins, not appearances.
69.
But wins. I don't know. They didn't have a lot of early exits. Yeah, I'm going to say 69.
You both say 69. You both pick up a point. Greg Popovich's 284 career postseason games. If I'd said games, it would have been 420. His record in those games, 114 losses, 170 wins. Greg Popovich, we salute you. So the score right now after question number 4, just for keeping track, Diaz 2, James 2, Xavier 1. Xavier, it is your turn.
All right. I'm glad we all decided to have basketball because I'm going to stick with that. 69 or 420, the number of first place votes Jalen Brunson got for NBA Clutch Player of the Year.
I can't
imagine
imagine
that large
there's
of a sample.
Yeah, it's got to be 69 just on law of large numbers. First place votes, total number of votes. I can't believe that there would be somewhere in the range of 300 people voting, which is what I think it would need to be any kind of margin. I'm going 69.
I'm definitely going to lock in that as well.
You both are correct. The answer was 70 first place votes for Jalen Brunson out of 100 votes.
God, I'm mad that one more person voted for him. That would have been the best.
The total points that he got from first, second, and third place votes was 426 points. So close on both accounts.
If a first place vote is worth 6 points, I want that person banned from the NBA.
It's worth 5. So we could have had 69 and 421 if one person who voted him first left him off his ballot entirely. But I digress. Jalen Brunson, Clutch Player of the Year, according to the NBA and the voters. And he showed it last night when he crossed Asar Thompson right out of the stadium. He is an incredible defender and made life hell on Jalen the whole series, despite the numbers that Jalen put up. But when you get crossed out of the entire shot, and then a guy spots up and takes a 3 to eliminate you with 5 seconds left in your own building, it's clutch. 66 points in the fourth quarter across the 6 games of the series. He is only the 4th player since 1998 where they have these records to score 40 plus and hit a game winner in the last 10 seconds to win a series. Can either of you guess the other three?
Michael Jordan.
Jay feels correct just for the vibes of it.
Yep.
Michael Jordan against the Jazz.
I feel like Kyrie might have had one of that Warriors series. The 20
It was with like a minute left, though. It wasn't with 10 seconds.
Okay. Can we get years?
So the other two were both 2019, if I remember correctly.
Kawhi Leonard?
Kawhi Leonard
Kawhi
against
Leonard.
the Sixers is one of them.
Oh, it's that shot. Oh,
That
okay.
one.
Is that shot?
Damian Lillard.
And Dame Lillard against the Thunder.
Oh, that
God.
God.
One round beforehand.
Dude, R.I.P. Damian Lillard's tendons. What a career.
R.I.P. Damian Lillard's tendons. R.I.P. the Bucks with all the talk about them having to trade Giannis possibly to the Spurs, which would maybe be the sickest thing ever to have Giannis and Wemby together.
Hey, and my boy De'Aaron Fox that I've become incredibly attached to now.
I feel like just for money, De'Aaron Fox would have to be in that deal.
Possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. I saw definitely it'd have to be Stephon Castle would have to be traded, but
No!
you know,
It's literally
you would do it for Giannis.
the phone call is they say, hey, we'll take everything that isn't Wemby, and that's what the trade is.
But
That's what it's going to have to be.
great series for the Knicks and the Pistons. It was good 90s basketball of beating the shit out of each other. I do have one bonus basketball one. 69 or 420. The number of points the Cavs outscored the Miami Heat by after Tyler Hero trash talked Darius Garland.
I
That was
think
what,
they're
after
smoking
game
on
two?
that Heat pack.
It's
I'm
after
saying
game two.
420. I'm saying 420.
The number of points that they scored or won by?
That they won by.
Oh, yeah, just for fun. Yeah, I'm sticking with it.
69.
It doesn't count anyway. It is 69, but it is 92 points that the Cleveland Cavaliers won by in 2 games on the road in Miami.
It's pretty bad.
37 and 55 in games
Heat
3 and
culture.
4.
Baby.
Tyler Hero, playing 67 minutes during the 2 games, scored a total of 17 points. And the Cavs did this with Darius Garland out for both of those games. So, missing an all-star, they beat them by 92 combined points in 2 games in Miami.
But doesn't the improved performance without Darius Garland kind of make Tyler Hero's point?
I mean,
But
I
at
think
what cost?
the lesson is if you want to talk trash about someone else not playing defense, you should not get destroyed like that yourself.
Oh,
Or
totally
if you
not.
do, at least put up empty numbers of your own so you can point like, well, I scored 40. Like, look at how great I am.
Get your Chris Paul dagger that cuts the lead to 41. Like, you get yours at least.
Like, scoring 17 combined at home as the supposed best player on that team as you get laughed out of your arena is just brutal. And I hope that Tyler Hero, before he gets traded to someone else, learns to wait until after he wins some games to trash talk.
Speaking of run up the score, I'm going to try and pull away from Diaz here because it's his question next. So let's see if I can take the lead. What you got for us, Diaz?
It is my question next, and a good thing that happened in the world of teams that Diaz roots for while we were away is that Newcastle ended their 70-year drought without any domestic championships or domestic silverware, winning the League Cup 2-1 over Liverpool. It was an insane game. Big Dan Burn, the local hero, scores the header right at the end of the first half to put us up 1-0. But we would not have won if it was not for the insurance goal by Alexander Isak to provide what ended up being the winning margin 2-1. Just before Alexander Isak scored, he had another goal that was ruled off for offside. The question is, how much time in terms of seconds elapsed between the disallowed offside goal and the goal that did prove to be the winning margin in the League Cup? 69 or 420.
So we're saying about 4 minutes. I'm going to go 420.
I'll say 69.
Well, James, Xavier's going to make up some ground on you because
Okay.
the offside goal crossed the goal line at 50 minutes, 12 seconds. The goal that did count came at 51 minutes and 59 seconds, a total of just 107 seconds later. So that is one more point for Xavier. And that's just one of the things that I love about soccer, because any other timing that you look at in really any sport, football, basketball, sure, it might be 107 game seconds were all that were between when these two things happened, but it's more like 5-6 minutes. Like,
yeah. How many times do we say like elapsed in game time in Elite?
Right. And like, you know, the last 15 seconds of a basketball game take 20 minutes to be played. Like, it was literally less than 2 minutes from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs. An incredible game to bring home some silverware. Holding out hope for your Gunners, Xavier. I think they still have a chance yet to go into PSG and get a good result.
Fingers crossed.
I do believe. Hey, everyone, I like Nottingham Forest now. I do feel like that 2-0 loss to Brentford yesterday is probably the end of the Champions League dreams. But you know what? I love the tricky dreams.
Last game of the season, Forest against Chelsea at the City Ground.
Okay.
Good chance it's a play-in for the Champions League.
Great.
Which would be sick as all hell.
I'm all about the tricky trees now, folks. I fucking love them. I'll explain this next question to you guys once you've answered it, but I do want to present it without context. What is the point score for the Maryland state champion Caucasian wingnut?
I don't know what that means.
The Maryland state champion Caucasian wingnut. It is a champion due to a certain point score. What is that point score? 69 or 420?
I have no context of what this even is.
Yeah, I have no... I'm going to say 420 because I have no context for anything.
So
yes, pick 69 just so we split the baby here.
Well, no. Well, hold on. Whoa. We don't need to be splitting any baby. Let me think this one through, because I'm gonna guess that this is like an equivalent of like the wing bowl. So I'm trying to think chicken wings that would be eaten in 15 minutes. I do think it would be a lot less than 244 and a half. So I'm gonna say 69.
The Caucasian wingnut is a species of tree. That's why I kind of got excited leading into this from Nottingham. Caucasian wingnut's a species of tree. My wife and I, with our child, have enjoyed going out on walks with the baby in our time off. And a way that we've tried to spice this up, we learned at the Arboretum about something called champion trees. There are state and city champion trees. I can guarantee you your state has a directory of your champion trees in your state. Your city might, if it's a big enough one. And the state champions, I am a little disappointed to tell you, it's not like the Eukanuba Dog Show, where you're like looking at a black walnut and saying, this is the most black walnut to me. It's just about size. So this Caucasian wingnut that is particularly near our house has a score of 141. Diaz, you do get the point with 69 for that. But this 141 point Caucasian wingnut, it gets there due to height. It gets there due to like the circumference of the trunk, the circumference of the branch spread. We're just super into champion trees now. It's a competition. You get to hold your title for 10 years if you win it in a measuring. And the best thing about all of these champion trees is that they have to be publicly accessible. Caucasian wingnut, though, one of my particular favorites in the neighborhood, which means that right now Diaz is actually taking the lead. Diaz has got 4 points. I've got 3. Xavier, you've got 2, but Xavier, you've got the mic.
So I'm glad we had a little bit of soccer chat before the tree chat, because my last 69 for 20 question for the two of you is, what is the number of points Wrexham have accrued over the last 3 seasons they've played? 69 or 420?
We're talking 3 promotions. No, I don't want to ask for a hint. That'd be cheating. I was going to ask, like, they're comparably long seasons. I'm just going to assume they are. So we're talking like 30 games, 3 points. I'm going to say 420.
Yeah, so they're actually playing more games at the lower levels. So I just say that to lead into that. I'm also going to say 20.
The two of you are correct. Over the last 3 seasons, with 1 game left in this year's League One, Wrexham have accrued 288 points. 3 years ago, their last season in the National League, when they started this promotion kick, they had 111 points in 46 games, where they had 34 wins, 9 draws, 3 losses. Last year, their first year back in the top 4, professional divisions, the English Football League, they finished second in League Two with 88 points. And then this year, They are going to finish second in the English League One with so far 89 points in 45 games, 26 wins, 11 draws, 8 losses. They are the first team in English history to have 3 consecutive promotions within the top 5 tiers, where it's pretty much the professional divisions, the English Football League, the Premier League, and the 5th tier, the National League. And they are going to play in the 2nd tier for the first time since 1981-82. It's an incredible story, and yes, at least with the National League, and maybe even for League 2, you could say, well, they spent their way out of it. And that, that's not, I'm not going to argue on that. They did. They 100% did. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, if we think about the actual, tiers of ownership of sports teams, they have more money than 5th division owners. Yeah. They do not have as much money as Saudi Arabia or Cleveland Capital or the Emirates of Abu Dhabi. And this year, they really didn't spend a lot. Until January, most of their transfers were free or very relaxed. At the same time, Birmingham City, who finished first by 20 points, I believe spent $25 million on a player, which was a English League One record by about 8 times.
Yeah, I mean, Birmingham City is Tom Brady's midlife crisis, so they're going to be in the Premier League very soon.
Yeah, they spent an insane amount of money, I believe, on Jay Stansfield, I think is who they bought for $25 million, but nowhere near the top spender, and yet they still got promoted. And I'm super excited to see how they do in the championship, because the teams in the championship are really good. There's a lot of really old and distinguished teams with a lot of money in the championship.
There will be 3 teams that were just in the Premier League.
Yes, and do I think that they will get promoted anytime soon to the Premier League? No, I don't think that. But will it be fascinating to see how they do against teams that really all will be spending more money than them? Can they settle in as a mid-table championship team? That would still be an incredible thing for any fan of Wrexham if you told them that 5 years ago. So I'm excited to see what the next evolution of Wrexham is after these back-to-back-to-back promotions.
Here's to them hopefully avoiding relegation. A reasonable goal, it feels like.
Agreed.
Diaz, that one did put you ahead. You've guaranteed a share of first place. The question is whether or not with your final question you can stump Xavier and I. If you stump me, you win. We tie if not.
It's coming down to the wire. It's only appropriate for the latest and greatest edition of 69-420. And I've got a doozy of a question for you. In the world of golf, Rory McIlroy completed his career Grand Slam at the Masters on the 73rd hole, and he needed a playoff to clinch the last of golf's 4 major championships that had eluded him. Measured in hundreds of thousands, how many gallons of water is used each day to maintain Augusta National 69 or 420? And again, this is measured in hundreds of gallons.
I'm slamming the over. I think it's above 420. I think this is going to be an answer that infuriates me, and I also think it's going to guarantee me a share of first place.
James feels really strongly about this, and I feel like they would know better than I would. But that's no fun to piggyback off of them, so I will pick 69 just to be different.
Listen, I appreciate your competitive spirit, Xavier. It has cost you, because each day at Augusta National, there is an average of 312,000 gallons of water.
I am indeed infuriated.
And, let this just be my place to advocate for TGL. It's an incredible concept. It's basically still the same sport. It's just confined to a much, much smaller footprint.
It did kill Tiger Woods, but he's MAGA now, so fuck him.
Make golf indoors. It's a better spectator event. Come on, what are we doing?
I wonder how you can measure that water in ChatGPT searches, because it's probably a smaller ratio than I want it to be. But What I do want is at least part of first place, which I did get. Diaz, you and I tied 5 points. But Xavier, here's the good news. You're the third place champion.
You know what? That's what I was going for, and it is by far the most special place to be in.
The 69 or 420 third place champion is indeed a pretty distinguished title. However, the three of us are interested in a different title. You know, Xavier and I, as we mentioned with children, we're in whole new worlds now. We've got whole new schedules. It's been a while since we sat back and remembered some guys. So we are going to remember some guys today. However, we're going to remember a very specific set of guys, and that is guys who have been inducted to this show, and we're not going to remember them with any long presentations. We had this idea before March. Obviously, schedules fell with our May, so welcome to May Madness. This is our 68 guy bracket, structured exactly like the NCAA championship, and it is how we are going to determine the guy of guys amongst us. So the way that we decided to go through this, we went through all of the list of every guy that's been inducted to the Hall. Each of us selected 20. For the seating of this, we decided to look at the number of views that the Wikipedia page for that guy had received in the year 2024. Anyone who did not have any views, they would just be given rank of 0, but I don't think we ended up seating any of them. For the record, folks, don't worry. We're just doing the first round today. This is not going to go on forever. And I don't know how much you all have looked at the list. I made the bracket, so I'm aware of all of them. But we didn't discuss the 20. We just went through, made sure there weren't any overlaps, selected 60 total. And then for the final 8, we have the ones we're going to start off with in our first 4. We've had a number of guys brought in, not by the 3 of us. So we set our for-year consideration guys off to the side. And we actually approached you, our Blue Sky followers, to help us decide these, just to get some guys entered into this tournament that weren't selected by us exclusively. And so let's go through our first 4 matchups real quick, and I'll just relay these ones to you guys so that you know how it went down. First off, we had Josie Reisman's very own Paul Heyman coming from the world of wrestling. And then, in addition to a guy very familiar with large-scale tournaments, Paul Heyman, we had the only college basketball team that we've ever inducted, Luke Bonner's 2004-2005 West Virginia men's basketball team. I will tell you about this 2004-2005 Mountaineers team. There was one Wikipedia page that had exactly 1 view, and it was this one, and I know for a fact I was that 1 view. So there you go. That's the only page that happened with, but there is one where I found out, there I am. Anyway, that's our first 4, and the winner of that one was the 2004-2005 West Virginia men's basketball team. Big upset there for them to snag the 16 seed in this first quadrant. Next, a couple of international bigs that have been brought on by some guests here. We have Russ Bengtson's Pero Antich, the terrifying, Triple X Fast and Furious henchman, and we had Julie Kliegman's and your Xavier, beloved New York Liberty player Han Shu.
Han Shu
is our other international big going up against Pero Antich. Unfortunately, Han Shu could not keep up with Pero Antich's game, at least according to our followers. Pero Antich is going to advance to the 16 seed in this one. The next one was a pair of international baseball guys that we've had, Orlando Cabrera, not only coming from Venezuela, but also coming from the Montreal Expos, one of the most prolific Expos of all time. That's Orlando Cabrera in one corner. In the other corner, from our friend LJ from ARPA Make It Sports, we've got Edwin Jackson Jr., most well-traveled baseball player of all time. And of these two, I think that traveling did go ahead and help Edwin get the edge. He did advance by the largest margin of any of these matchups to the 16th seed of this quadrant. Finally, this last one, we had the 2 shutdown full cast hosts that have appeared on here. The Only College Football Podcast sent us AC Green from Jason Kirk and AG Feely from Ryan Nanny. A couple of initial A guys there. I don't know if that means anything. What I do know is that AJ Feely came out on top. I'm sure making you happy there, Diaz. And he will face off the 1 seed in this quadrant. But we're going to double back to that first one now. We've got, as our 1 seed in our first region, Drew Bledsoe, brought by me in the replaceable guys category. And he is going up against the 2004-2005 West Virginia men's basketball team. How do we feel about this matchup?
This is a tough one because Drew Bledsoe, I think, took it as gracefully as anybody possibly could. The complete opposite of Brett Favre in Green Bay. Exactly. Twice. The complete opposite of Brett Favre both times. But that 04-05 West Virginia men's basketball team, there's just something spunky about them. They're starting to hit some shots. They're starting to believe. I think I still lean Bledsoe, though.
Xavier, you guys ended his career. How do you feel about it?
Mo Lewis ended his career. I don't know. I mean, the Jets have suffered enough from the consequences of those actions. Maybe we do owe it to Drew Bledsoe to celebrate him a little bit more, given what we stole from him. I guess I'd lead towards Bledsoe.
I'm Bledsoe all the way on this. Love us some Luke Bonner and the rest of the 2004-2005 West Virginia men's basketball team, but I think this is Drew Bledsoe by a mile. Next up, we've got the 2 seed, Bartolo Colon. This is your big guy, Bartolo Colon, facing off against another Xavier candidate, Maya Yusova from the Friends Turned Enemies category. That is your 15 seed. Bartolo Colon, longtime pitcher, or Maya Yusova, many times slighted upon wife and figure skating figure from the Soviet Union. How do we feel, Maya Yusova, Bartolo Colon?
I love the love triangle drama, like soap opera life of Maya Yusova. But as the two of you saw, I have been holding up my Bartolo Colon baseball card that you, James, sent me.
Yeah.
There's only one person that I have discussed in this podcast where I have read their entire autobiography in one sitting before doing the presentation, and that is Bartolo. I mean, I have to go with Big Sexy. No offense to Maya Yusova. That was one of my favorite stories to do, but Big Sexy may be my actual favorite story I've ever done on this show.
No, it's Bartolo.
It's Bartolo. This is the 2-15 matchup. Like, a lot of these I don't think are going to be particularly close. Well, actually, this one I think is the first one where we've got a chance for an upset. Let's see. These are 2 Diaz guys who have been squared off against each other as the 3 and 14 seeds, and it is a pair of basketball guys from Diaz. We've got your draft night trade, Vlade Divac, even though we found out later on he was not technically a draft night trade. It was several nights after, but we'll leave that be. He is still the 3 seed, and he is going up against the 14 seed, the Song guys, Darius Washington Jr.
Oof.
Did you talk to him, Diaz?
To my best knowledge, he was not in attendance. It was only the 3rd. And it would have been weird to approach the 3rd and say, hey, remember that horrible thing that happened to your dad? I did a podcast about it. It was very cool to see Darius Washington, the 3rd, play. It's interesting because, well, Vlade Divac very clearly had, like, the more prominent basketball career and, like, is more known in casual circles. You know, my all-time bar test that I always say. But there is just something so, like, romantic in, like, a reverse way about just how soul-crushing that specific instance is and how irreplicable it really is with Darius Washington Jr. to have the 3 free throws down 2 and to only make the 1.
Here's what I'm feeling. It's a one-on-one game between the 2 of them, but there is a referee for some reason. And at the end, he calls a foul, and Darius Washington Jr. steps to the line, much as Fish described him doing. And I think he nails it this time. Like, I think he's learned from that. I think he nails it. To me, this is an upset. To me, this is Darius Washington over Vlade Divac.
Xavier, what do you think?
Vlade ruined the Kings, so I don't think we can celebrate him at all. Let's go with Darius Washington.
Look, I truly was like a coin flip. If you pushed it to me, I was going to agonize, but I'm happy for it to be resolved. I'm happy for Darius Washington Jr. to now hit all 3 free throws and to go forward as the 14 seed. I'm very happy to see it.
He nails them, he goes through, and he brings us to our next one. The number 4 seed against the 13. This is going to be Abibi Bikila in the 4. Diaz, one of your archetype guys, long-time, like, you know, East African marathon runner. And then from Guy's named guy, we've got Guy Forget.
Only one of those guys has a song about him, right? So
yeah, I think we get another upset here for me personally. I see Guy Forget going past Abibi Bikila. Now here's the thing. Yes, Abibi Bikila's archetype is like super well known. That is in there. I also think like you just ask Guy. I think he's done too well making the archetype that then other guys have gotten to fill. Like you make a mold and you use a mold long enough, eventually you're going to forget what the mold was of. I'm going Guy Forget.
I want to throw out one thing about Abibi that I never mentioned in the first go-round.
Okay.
He still holds the barefoot marathon world record.
That is very good. That is very good. Okay.
I just want to throw it out there, but I mean, I understand. I am gonna, put my flag down for my guy. and I am going to kick it to Xavier to be the tiebreaker.
And my response is put the song in. It's Guy Forget.
Guy Forget giving us our second big upset here. That brings us to the 5-12 matchup. This one is interesting the way it broke down. It is once again two guys being pitted against each other who are brought by the same person, both from Xavier. Xavier, we have your injury guy and your just short of glory guy. The number 5 seed is Marcus Camby, a very early episode. And then the number 12 seed is Joel Zumaya of Guitar Hero fame. While I love Joel Zumaya's injury and knowing that there's one thing that I'm physically better at than a baseball player, because I never got injured playing Guitar Hero, try and make this easy. This is Marcus Camby. This one's Marcus Camby. We're going back to the chalk here.
This is tough for me because I love the Guitar Hero injury
so
much.
It's good. But look at your heart. This is Marcus Camby.
You go first.
I mean, I'll make it easy so you don't have to agonize. I'll do the same favor because Marcus Camby, one of the fact that he was able to reinvent himself, not even reinvent isn't even the right word, to have a resurgence to what he previously was so late in his career is incredible and just a hallmark of the early days of watching basketball for me. So, I mean, Marcus Camby.
Marcus Camby did also give us the first guy we ever banned from the hall in Momento Core.
Yep.
So,
there you go. For the show, we have to. He's integral to the lore.
Historical moment.
Yeah.
We still have to right this wrong of Marcus Camby not being an all-star ever. And
he's got a chance to finally win that title this time because he will advance out of this first round. We will next come up to the 6-11 matchup. Two very famous images of very polar levels of happiness for the person that's featured in the images. The number 11 seed comes to us from you, Diaz. It is your guy from Mistakes, Errors, and Blunders, Jackie Smith. How does he put it? The most miserable man in America? Sickest man in America.
Yeah, Vern Lundquist, Jackie Smith, the sickest man in America after dropping a sure touchdown in his lone season with the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say the important part, he dropped a low touch in the Super Bowl. Speaking of moments in championships, we go from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs with someone that I brought for famous photo guys, and that's Brandi Chastain with the 6th seed. And I'm going to ride with my girl Brandi here personally.
Yeah, I love Jackie Smith. I love the unfortunate effect of his entire Cardinals career being forgotten, and he was an all-time great tight end, and nobody knows it. And I'm glad that we at least got to make sure that people knew it. But I mean, Brandi Chastain, that is my first two sports memories that I have are Michael Jordan hitting the game-winning shot over Byron Russell in '98 finals, and in the '99 World Cup, Brandi Chastain hitting the goal, hitting the celly. She has to be through. She is through.
Yeah, it's an iconic moment. It set the stage for what women's soccer is in the U.S. And you could argue that without the popularity of that moment, women's soccer in the world wouldn't be as big as it is. So, got to be Brandi Chastain.
Brandi Chastain, 6th seed, triumphs over Jackie Smith, the 11th seed. That brings us to our 7-10 matchup, the 7th spot. We love builders. One time we just did a category called builders early on, and Xavier, brought to us a man famous for the Barkley Marathons, which were run during our time off. Lazarus Lake has the 7th seed, and the 10th seed, someone else related to racing, though more about what racing came after him, because at the 10th spot, my guy from the workhorse category, Stormcat, the horse that fucks.
Oh, fuck me. No.
He is the horse that fucks.
He's the horse that fucks.
Here's the reaction I get when I talk about these two people, because these are two episodes I love talking about. I think they're two very good episodes of ours. I've brought them up to people who've asked where to start. Lazarus, other people have sometimes known that. They're oh, the Barkleys. I've heard about that sometimes. So there's recognition. With Stormcat, no one ever knows what I'm talking about to begin with. However, it is one that gets a lot of buy-in by the end of it. It's probably a story people like hearing from me more, but it is something people don't necessarily know about. I could lean either way. We've only had the two upsets so far. I'm going to go Stormcat, but if the two of you vote for Lazarus Lake, I think that's perfectly fine.
He's the horse that fucks. I think as much as I love Laz and the entire Berkeley Marathons, as you know I do, just the amount of times I've said Stormcat, he's the horse that fucks, I think I have to just do that. It's a verbal tick that you have instilled in me, James.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out, by the way, Barclay Marathons this year. Nobody completed them.
We had a fun run finisher.
Because many people completed it last year. He had to kill them.
Yeah. It's great dude. Like, great dude, deserving of the 7 seed. I think Stormcat advances, unless Diaz, you disagree.
No. It's Stormcat. Okay.
We've got one more matchup in this region. Diaz in the 8th spot. We've got your labor rights guy, Ed O'Bannon, or whatever he would have been referred to in the NCAA basketball game that he later won his court case over. In the 9th spot, this will be a tough matchup for you. Your hometown hero guy, pitching Paul Arizin, the Philadelphia basketball legend. Ed O'Bannon, Paul Arizin. I'm just going to say, I'm deferring to you, Diaz. Whatever your decision making, like, this one is your decision to make.
Okay, so I mean, that being said, I at least like Xavier, give me where you're at, because I need some guidance here before I make my decision.
Ed O'Bannon did take away NCAA football from us for the longest time. It wasn't his fault, but it was his fault. As far as I know, Paul Arizin didn't destroy one of our favorite sports video games for a decade.
I don't think they even existed when he was playing.
That's a big mark in his corner of not having done that. So I'm going to be old man who yells at clouds. NIL stuff is going a little too far, too insane, in that there needs to be some sort, like, there's no rules, and it's kind of crazy that teams at this point are just waiting till spring practices are over to see, hey, this guy on this one team had a great spring practice. Let's give him $1 million knowing that his current school could never match that. Meaning that after spring practices, after everyone's enrolled in schools, they have no ability to replace them. It's gone a little too far for me, and I will blame Ed O'Bannon for that, despite I'm sure he never anticipated seeing that. But we have to separate these people in some way, so I'll say because NIL is fucked up right now, I'm blaming Ed O'Bannon. My votes are Paul Arizin.
No, that is a good point. I will say, so here's my official, I've said this to both of you. My proposal for NIL, recognize them as a union, and, they are employees of the universities, and 1 to 4 year contracts. If you're an elite kid, you're probably still just signing for a 1 year, but the 4 year contracts give an avenue for mid-major schools to be able to still be relevant, because as it is now, like, they truly are just a minor league feeder system for, like, your UNCs and your Dukes in men's basketball, your top football programs. That's my proposal. But yeah, TL, DR, Ed O'Bannon, unintended consequences, unfortunately, do mean that the unintended consequence is that you will lose to Paul Arizin.
I mean, I just read an article earlier about Stanford. It was an expose about how Stanford was too arrogant at the beginning of the NIL cycle. With, like, people won't leave Stanford for money. Our degrees are worth so much. And then their star softball pitcher left for Oklahoma State, which is not a good team, because Oklahoma State had an oil baron donor who was like, I will give you $1 million to come to Oklahoma State. And they were shocked when this girl who made no money pitching for the number 1 team in the country left for $1 million at Oklahoma State. Like, yeah, the Stanford degree is great, but I would like $1 million right now. Like, are you kidding me? It really is crazy, but I digress. I think we're in agreement here.
We are in agreement that Paul Arizin emerges from the 8-9 matchup, and that is our first region. Moving us to our next one, where we've got our 16 seed Pero Antich, who emerged from the first 4 there. He is going up against a guy, Diaz, that you learned was a real person when I brought him up in post-playing career. It is Tim Horton, the hockey mascot, the hockey player. You've burned into my brain now with your image of this, like, brawny paper towel guy that you thought Tim Horton was. Pero Antich is great. Tim Horton is the coffee and donut guy. He's Tim Horton.
I thought it was like, all right, there's the Burger King, there's Ronald McDonald, there's Tim Horton. And I will say, I've always known, I shouldn't say always, ever since he was on the Atlanta Hawks, I've known who Pero Antich is. So we could have a little spunky UMBC thing going on here. We just might. I know Xavier loves Pero Antich. What are you feeling?
It's Tim Horton. I mean, Diaz not knowing he was real is one of the funniest things that's ever happened.
It was pretty good. This is when a 16-seed team plays really well to the third quarter. Tim Horton advances. Truly, like you learning about Tim Horton, like Xavier said, it's a beloved memory to me at this point. I'm happy to remember that, and I'm happy to see that guy go through. I am happy to move on to the number 15 seed, David Mullany, the inventor of wiffle ball. Diaz, you were a guy from Lawn Games. I was just in the hardware store, saw a wiffle ball. It's like $5. I thought to myself, God damn, it is like the Costco hot dog. I love me some David Mullany. Can he take down Xavier, your entry as the second seed here? Someone who came from the same name, lesser accomplishment episode. It is Billy Bean, not to be reductive, but not that one, the gay one.
I love me some Billy Bean. Very influential for baseball.
I'm just gonna make my impassioned plea at this time in which, like, you remember, like one of the great tweet formats. It was like, the year is 2070. Donald Trump III is reigning over America. It's a hellscape. Everything's on fire. The wiffle ball still costs $5 at the local store. You can still get a nice little plastic stick and a nice ball with some conveniently placed holes in it, and you can play wiffle ball for just $5. It's incredible. That's my pitch for David Mullany, but I understand what I'm going against here.
It does move me that I was able to see a wiffle ball just for $5 in the hardware store the other day. It also was not in a place that made sense. It was near like the power tools and drills, but there was the wiffle ball right there for the taking. I love that. In these trying times, I do also feel like we have to give at least one. I don't think Billy Bean's going to go on a deep run, but I feel like we got to give a win to the LGBTQ plus community. I'm going to give that one to Billy Bean here as our 2-seed advancing.
I respect it fully.
Well, Diaz, you know who you respect fully? Both entrants into the 3-14 matchup in this region. At 14, one of the great journeyman pitchers of all time and the only guy who served more terms in Washington, D.C. than President Roosevelt, Bobo Newsom. Pretty amazing. However, he's going up against an equally titanic journeyman pitcher from long time, not good time, Jamie fucking Moyer.
I mean, there's so much goodness to the Bobo Newsom story, but if you think I'm not voting for the native Philadelphian who came home at age 45 and helped lead us to a World Series, and then still pitched like 2 more really good seasons for the Phillies after that, and then still pitched even 1 more season for the Colorado Rockies. Like,
frankly, I'm shocked he's not on the Orioles roster as we speak.
He could give you 6 innings of 3-run ball right now.
I would take Jamie Moyer over Charlie Morton. You tell me right now which one I'm giving the ball to. It's Jamie Moyer all day.
Death, taxes, and Jamie Moyer going 6 innings and giving up 3 runs. It was every time.
Xavier, any last words for Bobo
Newsom? It's Jamie Moyer.
There we go. I think we're going to continue to have a kind of chalky matchup here because we get to the 4 and the 13. Xavier, you've got Trent Tucker from Technicality Guys. Excellent. Like, Trent Tucker, great that he made this tournament. Very happy for him. He is going up against my entrant from Single Person Sports way back in season 1, Pete Weber. Who do you think you are? I am. Who do I think he is? I think he is the one coming out of this matchup.
If you ask me who I think about more often, because I watch more basketball than anything else, in pretty much every other game, there's a situation where commentators say, you need 0.3 of a second to get the shot off, especially with how tight all the Knicks games are. I do think of Trent Tucker more often than I think of Pete Weber. But when I think of Pete Weber, it makes me very, very happy. Because, I mean, who do you think you are? I am.
No, it's Pete Weber.
Pete Weber.
He takes it. It's quality over quantity. And that means we're still without an upset here in this region, but I think they've all been deserving wins. Do we have a chance here? Because going up against Ben Zobrist, all the way back in our pilot, the Love to Hate episode, Ben Zobrist, my guy. However, he's going up against a pretty strong one. The guy who not only was an excellent punter, not only the only person to ever get a perfect score on the Wonderlic tests, but also the inventor of sports action figures, Pat McAnally with the 12 seed. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know which one I go. I love both of these guys because I did bring them both in. What do we think about Ben Zobrist 5, Pat McAnally 12?
I think we've known from my discussions on Ben Zobrist in the past that I believe this man has dealt with so much adversity. We need to give him any leg up that we ever can. Everyone has failed him. His relationships have failed him. His team has failed him. God and his pastor have failed him.
Yeah. His ex-wife can't take it away from him if he gets through this round.
We are one group that have always lifted up Ben Zobrist without any, ulterior motives. And I think that we can't eliminate him in the first round.
I think it would be tougher if he didn't just fall off the Hall of Fame ballot, but I just remember that happened, and so the Hall of Fame immediately was like, no, we're not even discussing his Hall of Fame candidacy, which means he's like top-tier Hall of guy. I think you're right. Diaz?
No, it's Ben Zobrist. Like, unfortunate infidelity issues aside with, him being the victim, of course. He's just like the composite, like, late 2000s, early 2010s baseball player in my head. Like, if you were like, we analyzed 1,000 pictures of baseball players and then Ben Zobrist showed up. That's what I think of.
So like when they show those ones where they're superimposing a bunch of like AI Gen wants to make the face of Jesus, you're saying we do that for baseball players, we get Ben Zobrist.
You end up with Ben Zobrist.
Okay. I agree with that. And I think Ben Zobrist ends up getting through, meaning that we are on to the 6-11 matchup. Okay. Here we might finally get an upset. It's another one I'm very torn on because it's another pair of mine. The 11th seed is someone familiar with NCAA tournaments. It's Clarence Big House Gaines from HBCU, guys. One of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. Played in a stadium named after him for like 13 years. He is going up against, record scratch moment, ice skater Stephen Bradbury.
Crocky.
Who famously just managed to stay on his feet, do a Bradbury, and win a gold medal as a result over Apollo Anton Ono et al. Stephen Bradbury versus Clarence Big House Gaines. Do we have our first upset of this region? What do you guys think?
I mean, one of my favorite things is when a person's name becomes so ubiquitous that it becomes a verb. Like, you just got mossed. Me saying that, you both know what I'm describing. Pulling a Bradbury, you both know what I'm describing. I love when that stuff happens. I think he might just be pulling a Bradbury and going into the second rounds.
As much as I love Clarence Big House Gaines and all of our friends from Winston-Salem State University, including Stephen A. Smith, the future president of the United States of America.
The dude who, while playing for Clarence Big House Gaines, talked shit on his coach in the school newspaper. Just want to put that out there again.
I agree with Diaz, though. The Bradbury moment is so iconic that so many people will know what you're talking about, even if they only have a little bit of sports knowledge or like a casual Olympics observer. I think it's got to be Bradbury.
Stephen Bradbury skating on through, bringing us to our next one. This pits the two of you against one another. 7 seed from Along for the Ride guys. Front seat to greatness. Bruce Bowen. That's coming from you, Diaz. From you, Xavier, in the 10 seed. We have responsible for a rule, guys, not Trent Tucker, but instead Roger Nielsen. Towel power.
Ooh. Roger was responsible for many rules, not just one. He also essentially invented studying video as a coach, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Hey guys, what if we watch the game and see what went wrong and see what we can do better?
Like, imagine being like, you're the guy that decided that. What were people thinking before then? It's like, we know that it's videotaped, but like, we don't need to look at it.
He's got, forgive me if I'm incorrect, I don't think Bruce Bowen has a statue. I think Roger Nielsen wins on statues.
He may be part of a statue. Like, I could see here's like the 07 Spurs starting lineup.
He's got murals for sure.
Right. He's for sure part of murals. Front seat to greatness. Though when you say that category, and then I think on who Bruce Bowen is, like, because I love Bruce Bowen so much. He was not a front seat. He was like, he might not have been the driver at all times, but he was at the very least the passenger, providing navigation and giving snacks and locking down the other team's best player. But he doesn't really fit that category when I say that out loud. So I think I might be going Flyers coach Roger Nielsen.
Flyers coach, Canucks coach. I think it's Roger Nielsen. I feel good about this. I think we finally have a 10 seed advancing past the 7 seed here. And that means we just got one more in this region. From Don't Draft Me, guys, I brought in our 8 seed Jay Berwanger. First overall pick in the NFL draft. then never played a snap of NFL football, featured in Elite. We can't say that Bobby Plump from U Diaz in Done Dirty by Biopic Guys is included in Elite. But Bobby Plump, his push for Hoosiers, still excellent.
I mean, I love Bobby Plump. I love him so much. I love that he has his own diner in Indianapolis called Bobby's Last Shot or Plump's Last Shot. Like Jimmy Chitwood, I will give, Hollywood. You nailed when I hear Jimmy Chitwood, I immediately think elite high school basketball player in the middle of nowhere. That is the exact vibe that name gives away. Bobby Plump doesn't really sound like he's much of a basketball player, so I do get it. He was done dirty by it wasn't necessarily a biopic too. I'm nitpicking my categories now on my own guys in hindsight. I lean Bobby, but it's a tough one.
I think more people know who the concept of Bobby Plump is. Like, more people have seen Hoosiers certainly than are aware of Jay Berwanger. And I think saying this is the guy that Hoosiers is based on, yeah, it's not officially correct. But Diaz, you fit the spirit of it. This feels like a Bobby Plump to me.
Then I will give the shout out to Jay Berwanger because it is so interesting to learn about your history of the sports that we all love. And the first ever draft pick for the NFL, the sport that is by far the most popular in America, even if, we may be baseball and basketball fans. First and foremost, we can't argue that football is number one in the public's eyes. So appreciate him for the history, but I'll agree with you guys on Bobby Plump.
That closes that region out, and that means we are moving on to another one that features one of our first four participants, Edwin Jackson, toppled Orlando Cabrera. So we've got Edwin Jackson, the most well-traveled baseball player of all time. It's a tough assignment, though, because it's going against my meme guy, Nick Young, the 1 seed in this one. Swaggy P, or the author of the worst no-hitter of all time?
Swaggy P. And I feel like I can't even explain why, but I just think it's Swaggy P.
That is kind of the whole thing of Swaggy P. You can't explain anything about him. He just is Swaggy P.
Yeah, I love Edwin Jackson. We love LJ, longtime friend of the show, two-time appear. All due respect to Edwin Jackson, who is a great baseball guy. He wilts in the face of Nick Young. Hey, that's okay. We do have a 2-15 matchup. This is what I've been eyeing the whole time since I wrote this bracket out. I think we've got a potential Cinderella story here. Because the 2 seed, formidable. Diaz, your guy with nickname, was Arturo Gotti, boxing legend. I'm sure you can expound on in a moment, but he's got a tough opponent in the ring this time. He is up against the 15 seed, my Winter Olympians, plural. It's the Jamaican men's bobsled team. And I'm not going to lie. I think this is our 2-15 upset.
Cool runnings, man.
Here's the thing about Arturo Gotti. Arturo Gotti is not great because he won all of his big fights. He is great because he had so many big, great fights. And a few of those he didn't win. I do want to point out a fun fact about him that I didn't know. It's not his number, it's the number of times that he has fought at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. That is a retired banner that is up in the rafters at Boardwalk Hall.
We do love a specialized banner, like with Al Schreier, the statistician who got his briefcase on Leo Corda Center. We do love a specialized banner. But if we're saying we're like guys that lose, I mean, the Jamaican bobsled team has never won.
They are better at losing than Arturo Gotti. The Jamaican bobsled team is just so tough to overcome. I'm gonna be an Arturo Gotti protest vote, but I think I recognize that it is a protest vote.
Xavier, are you signed with me?
I'm with you.
There we go. A 15-2. I just want to get one. I wanted one of those big upsets. Let's see if we got any more here, because we've got a couple other good matchups. Number 14. Yeah, this is another you versus you one. Your Pac-10, Pac-12, RIP, the Pacific Athletic Conference guy. It was Mitch Canham, longtime OSU Beaver. At this point, I don't know. No, Adley's coming around. Let me not smack talk my franchise catcher. He is going up, though, against a titan of baseball. And the only baseballer I know of who has a regular recurring holiday, your bag getter and our 3 seed in this region, Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla Day has been used for every bad contract, and also now that we have all these deferred money contracts that the Dodgers are putting out, and other teams are trying to put out, he's just going to become even more famous. And said again, I mean, how many years until they finish paying Shohei? It's going to be like another 25 years. And every time it'll be compared to Bobby Bonilla Day. Like, as much as I love Mitch Canham, and I love Diaz's like outspoken advocacy for Mitch Canham during his episode. I mean, Bobby Bonilla Day is it's eternal.
Yeah, look, if there's one thing that we know about Mitch Canham when it comes to this podcast, it's that we don't appreciate him enough. So this will be another protest vote by me. To be the captain of one of the most unlikely repeats in Division I championship history is remarkable. And now to be living out the dream still as the Oregon State manager. I understand both of you don't love Mitch Canham. And that's fine. I do. I get it. It is Bobby Bonilla. I get it.
It's Bobby Bonilla, and never forget the Orioles also still owe him money in addition to the Mets every year. So I just have to once again lament the financial prospects of the Baltimore Orioles, but we move on from that. We move on from Bobby Bonilla winning. And now we've got someone who, like Mitch Canham, had a lot of good years in college. In fact, according to our category, they were a guy that had their best years in college. They're the guy I brought from that. Sam Bowie, the person taken before Michael Jordan. Yes, Hakeem Olajuwon was also taken before Michael Jordan, but he's Hakeem Olajuwon. And Sam Bowie is just the guy taken before Michael Jordan. He is going up against another person for mistakes, errors, and blunders. The boner himself, Fred Merkle.
The thing I remember the most about the Fred Merkle episode is the two of you being shocked that I didn't know who Fred Merkle was.
I still can't believe that. Like, to me, as much as I get shit for not knowing who Tim Horton was, I think it is far more egregious for all three of us being, like,
I agree.
Big baseball guys.
Fully agree. Tim Horton's funnier. I was upset when Xavier told me he didn't know what Merkle's boner was, or hadn't even heard the phrase. Like, that's, you cannot know what it is. It's just a thing that gets said.
It's a foundational memory for me, being 8 years old and checking out. I forget the name of the author, but he had like a series of like, the greatest football games ever, the greatest baseball games ever. Like, chapter 1 was like Bonehead Merkle's big mistake. So,
and to make up for my lack of knowledge, then I will vote for Merkle this time.
I'm also Merkle, I think.
Bonehead Merkle deserves it.
All right. This one's a little more interesting. We have a 15 over a 2. We've got a 13 over a 4. And now we have the 5 and the 12 matchup. This is going to be 2 from Diaz once again. You're responsible for a rule, Guy. Unfortunately, this is a rule like OSHA written in blood. It's Kim Do-kyu. And then he, as the 5 seed, is going up against the 12 seed, your facial hair guy, Daniel Carbomb Carcillo.
Oh.
I feel very strongly about Kim Do-kyu here. I'll put that on the table. It's fucking trash, man. Just dies. Just gets, like, the fight of his life, the real fight of his life that he is ready to die for. That he went in accepting that and kind of almost expecting that. I am going to say Kim Do-kyu advances, personally.
Yeah, I love what Carcillo is doing to try to improve the culture of hockey as it advances further into the 21st century. Doing a lot of good work, but yeah, I mean, dude, the Kim Do-kyu story, the fact that, like, also, like, in dying, like, he did realize his life stream. Like, his kid is now a very successful dentist in Korea as a direct result of his sacrifice. Like, if you offered him, like, 5 minutes before he goes out for the fight, like, hey, this is going to be it. In 30 years, your kid's going to be this awesome dentist and your family's going to be set. He would have taken that deal. He did take that deal.
That's that he signed up to die in order to provide for his family forever. It feels like the most, I'm going to make a deal with the devil, and then we watch that deal play out. But Kim Do-kyu. Xavier?
I have nothing else to add. I agree with you both on this. I think we're unanimous.
That's great, because this next one, we've had a lot of upsets. We might have another one here. Number 6, my injury guy, Clint Malarchuk, the goalie that did almost die on the ice. But he's going up against a toughie, the 11th seed, coming from the city of Philadelphia. Diaz, your Philly guy, Herb McGee.
I did have to take my headphones off during the Clint Malarchuk recording because of my squeamishness. So I am going to leave this one to the two of you. I do not think I am adequately able to make a judgment between the two.
I mean, if we're Diaz, if we're talking about a person operating in something that is at least the framework of an NCAA college tournament, another shocker for Clint Malarchuk, like, I'm glad that he's in a better place in the world because he's going to have to take this L. I see Herb McGee beating him and giving us yet another upset here. Like, I mean, here's the really bleak way to look at it. Another player has since had a massive blood loss incident due to a hockey skate blade since then. So if you say the guy, like, yes, he is the one you probably think of, but you could be thinking of a different one.
It is, yeah, I feel bad for Clint because he's obviously gone through a lot. He has dealt with a lot of trauma, but we're talking about the shot doctor. We're talking about the person to correctly diagnose exactly what was wrong with Ben Simmons' shooting form. It was that he didn't want to shoot, had no interest in improving his shooting. And just a Philadelphia staple. I mean, the first mention of every WIP caller for the last 30 years, anytime the Sixers draft a toolsy wing that can't shoot, is, they all sent him down to Herb McGee. I think Herb McGee is going to get his shot straightened out. I think he's going to be good to go. I think Herb maybe should be the head coach, honestly. Excuse my Delco accent there.
No,
but yeah, Herb McGee.
The accent sells it. The accent is the shot to ice the game. Xavier, you are welcome back into this now goreless free world the rest of the way.
Right.
And that is the world in which Herb McGee is advancing. Bring us to our only guy in the 10 seed. That wasn't a category. It is someone that we inducted communally as a decision. It's the first ever professional athlete to appear on the show. We are bringing in our NFL fullback friend and resident dungeon master, Johnny Stanton IV, as the 10 seed. He is going up against 7th seed labor rights guy from yours truly, Curt Flood. And if I may play devil's advocate to Mr. Flood, we do all think of him as the free agency guy, and he deserves all of that respect. It is worth pointing out, it was 2 players the next season that actually succeeded in getting free agency. He does ultimately lose, though he turns the tide of sentiment. Johnny Stanton is Myles Garrett's DM. And I mean, Myles Garrett continuing to live in the same living situation. I imagine that will continue. This is a wild, up and down, crazy, tipsy, topsy-turvy region. But I think yet again, we see an upset here with Johnny Stanton taking down 7th seed Curt Flood. If
we were objective, it would be Curt Flood. But we're not objective. We are subjective people. And one of these people has been on this podcast. And we had a great time with him, and it's Johnny Stanton. So, yeah. I mean, I think this one's an easy one for the 3 of us.
Yeah, remember that time we got an NFL player on this show?
Curt Flood is welcome to join the podcast at any time. And, we'd be glad to revisit this one. Can't do that, can he?
No, he can't.
Well, if he wants to communicate across the metaphysical void and send us a sign that he would like us to reconsider, we'll reconsider. But no, I agree. I think we got to go Johnny Stanton.
We go Johnny Stanton, and we come to our 8-9-1. And this way, look, even a 9 over an 8, that's not necessarily an upset, but we could see yet some more wildness here, completing what has been an insane region. That is with the 8 seed coming from One Shining Moment, pretty appropriate for the NCAA tournament, I'll say. That is Xavier's Ian Johnson, who's appeared here, who I feel like I saw come up in a story recently. I saw someone recalling the Ian Johnson, proposing to his girlfriend story. Very appropriate. However, I'm always personally thinking about good at one thing guy and 9 seed Billy Hamilton. No, not that Billy Hamilton that stole a lot of bases, the modern one. It is fun that there are 2 Billy Hamilton base stealers. Ian Johnson, Billy Hamilton. Final matchup for this region.
I am an Ian Johnson vote solely because, one of my fondest memories of ever watching sports is that Boise State Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl. Literally, the most storybook Disney, bullshit come to real life. But, it wasn't bullshit because it was amazing. I'm an Ian Johnson vote.
It's a foundational memory for me. As someone who didn't grow up with a local, college football team, so I like just the sport in general. And watching that game and watching the Statue of Liberty play, it's one of my earliest memories of just wow, this sport fucking rules.
Boise State running backs are having a moment. Let's keep it rolling with Ian Johnson coming as the 8 seed there. That completes that. On to our final region, where we will find our final 16 seed to come out of that first four. This is from the Shutdown Fullcast first four. AC Green was toppled by AJ Feely, and AJ Feely is now, as the 16 seed, going up against our final 1 seed, Monica Seles, from Memorable Fan Interactions, because it sure is memorable.
I mean, one of these people got stabbed. The other didn't. I think the person who got stabbed by a fan on the court should probably win this one.
To you, Diaz. If you don't feel strongly enough to fight for AJ Feely over Monica Seles, then it's easy to move here. Do you want to make a pitch for AJ Feely over Monica Seles?
I mean, I understand Monica Seles, but AJ Feely was, again, I'm going to go back to WIP caller. I don't know why I ever went back to McNabb. I thought with AJ, they won, okay? You can tell me he didn't throw too good. They won, okay? Listen, cuz AJ Feely, first of all, I mean, he outkicked his coverage with his wife. We know that, okay? I mean, Heather Mitz, dude. So first of all, I mean, he's able to pull that off. Birds would have won the Super Bowl in 2002 if AJ Feely would have stayed in. So we got to put him through right here, brother.
I'm really torn. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was good. Are you guys open to us putting the 116 to the side for a moment and coming back to that at the end? I want to think.
The one thing I will say for AJ Feely, he is lucky that he is not Jay Feely, but also unlucky that his name is close enough that people might think he's the one who's insane and running for Congress.
True.
There's a Ravens beat reporter who's named Jerry Sandusky, and had a very similar.
Spelled different. It's a G. Yeah.
With a G. Jerry with a G. Very important.
I was very confused when that news first broke because I love me some Jerry Sandusky. And when I say that sentence, I have to make sure I'm typing it and not saying it.
Jerry with a G.
You know the Ravens are doing well in a game where Jerry feels loose enough to make a joke about that on the radio. We'll return to the 116. Let's fly through some more of these. I think we've got another 215 potential here. Number 2, very good schemer guy, brought to us by Diaz. Brian the Boz Bosworth. He's excellent. But this is a biased show. And this is a biased show that I think is going to give the vote here to our South American guy coming to us from Xavier in the 15 seed. Temple Owl legend and 76er legend Pepe Sanchez.
What did I just say? We're subjective people.
We're subjective-ass people, man.
We all went to Temple. We love Pepe Sanchez. As much as the Boz is great, and weirdly, my first memory of the Boz, or the one that first comes to my head, is him in a dream sequence talking to Thad Castle in Blue Mountain State, rather than anything he actually did as a football player. But when I think of Pepe Sanchez, I think of Temple basketball being good, which hasn't happened in a while because all of our players leave after every single season, and Adam Fisher has to recruit 11 new players. So that makes me nostalgic, and I miss being at Temple when Temple was good at basketball. Thank you to Pepe Sanchez for giving us that, and giving us Juan Fernandez to give us more time of Temple being good. For me, it's Pepe.
He leaves a strong legacy.
Pepe Sanchez is as much the reason as I went to Temple University as anything else. My first
without
association.
It, we have no show.
Without that, we have no show. So we have to extend the rights to Pepe Sanchez to advance to the next round.
All respect to the boss. Pepe Sanchez out of there. Bring us to our 314 at the number 14 seed, Xavier. You've got someone who had long bad streaks. Peter Buckley, the tomato can of a boxer in Britain. I'm afraid he might take another loss tonight because he is up against our 3 seed, Diaz, your guy who left for a higher calling, Bison Dele, nay Brian Williams, who I am going to go ahead and just start off by saying, just as he was triumphant with MJ, I think he was triumphant here over Mr. Buckley.
Yeah, I'm a Bison Dele. If you still want to give a pitch, I've given a couple protest votes. If you want to give a protest vote, please do, Xavier.
No, it's fine. It could be Bison Dele. This will just be another, notch in the professor's belt.
He wants this loss. This works out for him. Losing
on purpose to help a promising other person move forward. Ignore everything that happened with Bison Dele and the fact that he's not alive. Peter Buckley, in our spiritual world, is still pushing forward the career and life of Bison Dele.
Bison Dele succeeds this time. posthumously. We've got a couple guys who have advanced posthumously already, so that's fine. I do believe both of these next two guys are still alive. This is another Diaz-Diaz matchup. 13 seed. Do you remember, Xavier, who Diaz brought for alternate forms of sports?
Oh, was it the guy who figured out water basketball?
No, that's a good guess. That was for aquatics guys. This was the greatest ever, like, strange women's form of high school basketball, Denise Long. Denise Long, who also did briefly, like, sign with the Warriors, some funky stuff like that. She is up against someone who has even less of a claim to a pro career. Diaz's sports as an escape guy, Carlos Kaiser. Carlos Kaiser, 4 seed, Denise Long, 13 seed. What we thinking?
One of these guys conned people for decades because he was attractive and friends with professional athletes and fun to party with. He made a whole career of just being that dude. Or that guy, as we might say on this podcast.
Now, to be fair, Denise Long's biggest moments came in large single elimination tournaments just like this. She is coming with a lot of experience about performing in the crunch time here. Diaz, what do you think?
Look, I love the Denise Long story. I love her being like one of the first major big women's basketball stars. You know, there's an easy case to be made. There is no Caitlin Clark without a Denise Long first.
Yeah.
You can make all of those cases. I might be making that case. I think I might be.
Are you talking yourself into it?
I kind of am. She's so influential. I mean, come on. Millions of people tuned in to watch Denise Long win it her senior year.
If Carlos Kaiser could talk to us for even a second, I'm sure he would convince us that he needs to be the one to win here. I'm sure that his honeyed words could worm their way into our ear canals and change our opinions. But Diaz, I'm with you. I think this is Denise Long. I think we've got another upset here as she topples 4 seed Carlos Kaiser.
I do need to just one time reiterate, because again, we may have some new people coming in here. Carlos Kaiser, the first time that he was ever going to have to actually go into a game, he got out of it by fighting the fans, telling the owner that the fans were disrespecting the owner, and like he had to defend his honor. And he then got another raise and a contract extension after that.
All-time con man. Greatest sports con man of all time, for sure. Someone who also, perhaps hoodwinking people in preseason appearances. That's our preseason Mirage guy from Xavier, Sage Rosenfels. Sage Rosenfels, a good Jewish boy. And he's going up against Xavier, your island guy, Japanese wrestling legend, Ricky Dozen. Ricky Dozen's got the high seed here. He's got the higher seeding.
What did I say like 10 minutes ago about Monica Seles? One of these people got stabbed.
He got stabbed and tried to walk it off.
And then died because he kept drinking despite supposed to be not drinking while recovering from being stabbed. As much as I love Sage, Ricky Dozen is larger than life. His whole life is a soap opera, which is just fun to talk about. I'd have to lean Ricky Dozen here.
I think what puts him over for me is the memory of the PS2 render.
That's exactly what
he's down from heaven.
That's exactly
coming down from heaven.
To know that his profile is that big in another part of the world, like, a lot of people might not be remembering him here in America, but he's being remembered to an extreme extent.
It's the same as the Babe Ruth scene in The Sandlot where he comes out of the closet. Like, that is the same moment.
Next up, this one I'm feeling, once again, pretty good about the seeding, but it's going to be another one that tests our Temple loyalty because our American export guy in the 11 seed is Diaz's Henry Burris, CFL legend, CFL multi-time champion. However, he is going up against a formative, foundational guy in Diaz, your aged like a fine wine entry. Dara Torres is the 6th seed. I think, if I may, here in this tournament, I do believe that Dara Torres has something, perhaps?
She does have some more shit to prove. And, it's in the same way as I said it earlier. If I say you just got mossed, we know what we're talking about. We know what we're talking about on this podcast when we refer to something as Teresian. And I think we need to respect our own canon. And I think we need to respect Dara Torres.
she's been influential in the show. We've talked about other guys who've been influential in how we do this show. And we've used the more shit to prove line
One might say too many times.
consistently for years because of Dara Torres.
No, she's great. And I think this is another instance where, like, if Henry Burris is going north of the border for this tournament, maybe he's got it, but here in America, he just can't cut it. For the record, I'm still rooting for Canada against everything American for the time being. But this time, I do think Henry Burris has to fall to Dara Torres. And that means that we are now coming up against some more pretty early ones and some more who have international importance. At least the 7 seed does. The 7 seed is a multi-country guy that came to us by way of Xavier. The American and technically Belarusian basketball player, Lindsey Harding, is our 7th. And Diaz, you're just short of glory guy, Dr. Kevin Dyson in the 10th seed. Does he come up short again? Does Lindsey Harding's Belarusian nationality work out for her this time?
Lindsey Harding is still going to be the first female NBA head coach. I feel so strongly about this. It is going to happen. I just don't know which owner will be the one to break the seal. But she is so good at her job and has already done it in the G League. G League Coach of the Year. She did that.
That being said, this is one where it's like, look, you've got the image of Brandi Chastain. You've got the image of Dr. Kevin Dyson being taken down by who?
Mike Jones.
Who?
Mike Jones.
This feels like Dr. Kevin Dyson crossing the plane at least into the second round. I'm not saying he's making it all the way down there, but I believe he crosses the plane into the second round.
It's also the earliest Super Bowl that I remember. So
I vaguely remember Broncos Falcons. I don't remember the game itself. I remember being in awe of the lineup graphics when they did it, which probably explains why I'm doing sports broadcasting.
Honestly, we're unearthing a formative moment for you here. But I think we're all in agreement. The doctor is in. To the second round, that is. The doctor is in. Yeah, and that brings us up to the 8-9 matchup. Then we'll get back to 1-16 to finish this off. 8-9. Xavier, you're a big fish in a small pond. Your greatest New Jerseyan to go to Greece Greek basketball player of all time, Nikos Gallis. He's going up against 9 seed, the most graded player in NHL history. My entry for a long time, not a good time, Mike Sillinger. I will say I do have a lot of affection for Mike Sillinger. He's going to be the one that has the domestic recognition. Nikos Gallis being the greatest Greek basketball player of all time. It feels similar to like if we're putting in Ricky Dozin for how thoroughly he's remembered in somewhere like Japan. I don't think anyone's going to be more remembered than perhaps Giannis Antetokounmpo in Greece than Nikos Gallis.
It's going to get into some like interesting and maybe I don't know if interesting is the best word for it. Racial dynamics of Greece. Of course, like if you had to like pick who is the most talented Greek basketball player of all time,
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
It's Giannis.
Yeah.
Like who is going to be the most favorite, like the
most
like
accomplished,
like most like publicly adored of all time? It may be Nikos. It may be our friend Kill Bill, Vasilis Spanoulis. Like, I think it's like those two probably have the inside track because they spent their whole careers there. You know, I love Nikos Gallis. I love everything he did in Greece, especially doing it not for the two biggest clubs in Greece. Unlike Vasilis, who went back and forth between Olympiakos and Panathinaikos. Nikos was at Aris in Thessaloniki for the vast majority of his career. I don't know. This is a tough one. I mean, this is a good 8-9 where I could go either way, but I am biased in that I brought Nikos Gallis and I like him, but I can be swayed either way.
Mike Sillinger getting traded that many times and playing 1,000 games. That's the one thing I'll say does intrigue me about Mike Sillinger. Diaz, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I get it about Mike Sillinger, but anybody whose fans are delusional enough to say, oh, he's better than Michael Jordan. Like, Nikos Gallis so much better than Michael Jordan. You should, like, in the same way that sometimes, we'll take a step back and acknowledge one of the others gave such an impassioned plea that we have to respect it. Like, I have to respect the Nikos Gallus online communities that are very, very, very vocal to make sure you know that the true GOAT comes from Greece, and the true GOAT needs to at least go to the second round.
I love it. I'm all for it. You know, they eat a lot of goat over there in Greece. That brings us back to 116. Monica Seles versus AJ Feely. Because I find myself the tiebreaker here, and it is tough. And I brought Monica Seles. And here's the thing that I think is going to end up making it. Feely, like, you know, he is the originator of the Philadelphia backup quarterback. For sure. He's that kind of like emblematic thing that has taken the shape of a Nick Foles, of initially a Jalen Hurts, of all of that. But I think it's similar to a BB McKeown. The mold has been used of AJ Feely so many times now that you've started to forget it. Monica Seles is the tennis player that got stabbed on the court. That's like, there hasn't yet been another tennis player that got stabbed on the court. Like, that's fucking wild.
And hopefully it stays that way. Let's
yeah,
hope.
There we go. There we go. That's a positive way to look at it. This vote is us trying to make sure that never happens again. And that completes our round. Folks, don't worry. We're not going to run through that right now, but you will on our socials if you want to check them out, see where we landed with all that bracket later on. You know, if you wanted to find those socials, you could always visit bit.ly/rememberthatguy, all one word, all lowercase. That's where you can find everything. That's where you can find the site where, for the record, we are now also posting all of the MP3 files of our show, just in case you want to avoid streaming services. I had some people talk to me about that during Elite's run. So from this point forward, you will be able to access that, and maybe someday I will take the time to go through the back catalog. But it's been fun going through this back catalog with the two of you all, rejoining and sharing this with the people with whom we are able to do it. And that is thanks to Craig, our producer bot, and all the coders behind him. That is with musical director Don Ham. But we do it because we get to share it with you, dear listener, and we thank you so much for joining us for that. This has been the first round of May Madness. We will conclude with the following rounds the following week, and we will post this, like I said, on our socials. We'll post a blank one, because you know what? Maybe you think Brian Bosworth should be Pepe Sanchez, and you want to see how that plays out, and you want to see whether or not you're going to be able to guess where the rest of these matchups go later on. That's all great. That can all be done there. Gentlemen, do you have anything else to say before we exit?
Just happy to be back.
Go Birds, dude. Go more birds than other birds that we don't want to go.
Yeah, okay,
but
yes, we are at this point. There are some other birds. Yeah, it's a confusing time for the birds, but it's always Go Birds here in Baltimore. It's always Go Birds. I'll remember that guy. And I always am one of your hosts, James.
I've been the very special guest, Xavier.
And I'm Diaz, and as Sir Bobby Robson once famously posited, what is a guy in any case?
Uh, 69 or 420, the New Orleans area code. I'm not going to use this one, but I do want to ask the two of you now.
Is it just 420?
So the answer is 420. It's 504. The reason I ask is that's probably the area code that Shedeur Sanders had when he was prank called by the son of the Atlanta Falcons.
I explained that to Caitlin earlier. Crazy. Absolutely nuts.